she was saying that it's so funny because sometimes they'll give you like, oh, here's a real life celebrity that you have the same, that you're in the same category with, like, oh, Morgan Freeman or Princess Diana, shit like that. But
the same category with Princess Diana, I'd stay out of tunnels.
But the one that she got was, you're in the same category as Daredevil.
That's not a real guy.
It's not a real guy.
You'd be great friends with Daredevil. Unfortunately, no one would be because he's ink on a page.
Hang on, let me find. I think she got a list of fictional characters. I'm sorry, just real quick.
You remind me of a fictional character.
She got Daredevil, Jon Snow, Galadriel from Lord of the Rings, and one of the Three Musketeers. She didn't tell me which one.
Well, isn't there 4?
Yeah.
I gotta figure out the Three Musketeers.
What? You gotta figure out. It's not a riddle. It's what do you mean figure out?
I don't get it, but there's a bunch of them.
No, there's only 4. We just talked about.
There's like movies about them, and I'm like, I think I could enjoy this because I got a thing with like guillotines.
Okay. But
they're in guillotine times, right?
Sure.
Aren't they?
Sure, buddy.
They are. Guillotines freaked me out as a kid. Because,
I like how you think of the Three Musketeers and you're like, yeah, guillotines, I could get into that.
Well, it's like one of those things where it like freaked you out as a kid, but now there's like a weird sort of allure when you're an adult.
I feel like I have an example of that. It's just not.
But you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, I had to watch a cartoon Tale of Two Cities.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And it was like...
That sounds miserable.
It was animated, but it wasn't like jokey, and it wasn't like animals or anything like that. It was just like an animated, condensed telling of a Tale of Two Cities. And so it ends with a dude getting guillotined. And I was just like, he's like the main character, and I just had to watch this dude go to his death as pretending to be someone else or something like that. And then there was a Tom and Jerry set in guillotine times, and...
Oh, there was a Tom and Jerry like musketeer, like a mouseketeer kind of.
And it ends
thing.
with Jerry or Tom getting guillotined.
Yeah, no, I remember that one.
And that freaked me out as a kid. And so, but now I'm like, guillotines. Let's see where this goes.
Let's see where this goes.
So, like, I want to see the Three Musketeers. Like, does one of them get guillotined? Maybe Steve Martin. Does he get it?
You think about the Three Amigos?
I haven't seen that.
Because that's got Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Chevy Chase.
I may be assuming that that's another adaptation of the Three Musketeers.
It's not.
But it's in the same vein.
Is it? Do you know what Three Amigos is?
Probably 4 boys hanging out.
No, it's 3 actors.
That's every movie, brother.
Well, they play actors, and they're basically hired by the Mexican government to deal with real bandits in Mexico. Because they assume that the Mexican government is stupid and believes that the movies are real. And they're like, oh, so they fight desperados.
Who do you mean? Who assumes Mexico's? The movie assumes?
The movie is assuming that. So they're
Is it funny?
Oh, it's hilarious. I love Three Amigos.
Anyway, welcome to KAFM. I'm John.
I'm Duncan.
And today on our double feature episode, we've got 2 movies, Independence Day and Days of Thunder. And the connecting thread here is double feature obviously is a
tenuous connection between 2 films.
Is not days. I didn't even realize they both have day in the title.
And they both kind of feel like they're both very like hoorah America coded.
Yes. But no, today's double feature was picked because these are both movies where a mostly unrelated Randy Quaid saves the day.
Man, watching these movies, I forgot how great of a character actor Randy Quaid is and how I'm so sad he went insane.
Yeah. Well, the touch of insanity added something to his performances, and just as he got older, it sort of melted his brain.
Yeah, like I believed it, like Cousin Eddie in Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
I believed it. I believed he was Cousin Eddie and that he lived in that camper.
The whole Quaid clan is a pretty good pretty good actors, and just they turn more clan and less Quaid as time goes on.
That's really good. We'll see if that stays.
Like, I'm worried, like, what's gonna happen to my boy Jack?
Yeah, no,
he's so good in Scream.
Yeah, it's impressive because you see a nepo baby, and you're worried. You're worried about the quality of the film when you see a nepo baby, but then you see Jack Quaid able to like act opposite Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
And
he's in Oppenheimer. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was acting opposite
very briefly, but yeah.
Yeah.
I guess everyone's in that movie very briefly.
Oh, I was so pissed that like Rami Malek and Kenneth Branagh got like 3 lines in that movie, and I'm like, these people can like spearhead movies on their own. This is star power that they alone can.
Yeah, but that's what made Oppenheimer awesome. Was just like every scene there's just a new person showing up. It's like, bro, here's 4 lines.
The only 2 people I could think of that weren't in it were like Brad Pitt and George Clooney. It's because they don't do like...
And DiCaprio.
Is DiCaprio not in it?
No. What would he have done?
I don't know, because everybody's in it.
But yeah, Independence Day, you love.
So Independence Day is very near and dear to my heart. When I was a kid, it's embarrassing saying this now, but when I was a kid, Will Smith was my hero.
I don't think that's embarrassing. To be honest, regardless of Will Smith's like foibles or indiscretions publicly, he's chill enough where everyone's just like, whatever. Like, your wife seems insane. Anyway, you're still cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, when I was a kid, I watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Men in Black, this movie, Independence Day. I even loved Wild Wild West because, again, I was 7.
Mm-hmm.
I was a child, but legitimately, I was always so happy to see him in things. Even, DreamWorks Shark Tale. There's a movie where he plays a fish. There's just an animated movie where he plays a fish, and that had like, for some reason, like big like mob movie names. Like Robert De Niro was in it as like a mob shark.
Is it a mob fish movie?
It was a mob movie where they like faked somebody's death, and it made like this little fish guy a hero, and they used all of his like basically all of the money that he made on being like, oh, this little fish is like a shark killer.
All right.
Yeah.
Is there a card shark in this movie?
No.
So I'm already furious. But
yeah,
today's episode is not about Shark Tale.
I think that's what it was called. That movie was a fucking fever dream because it had like Martin Scorsese in it as an actor.
Like walking around?
He played a blowfish.
Okay.
Yeah, or a pufferfish.
So Independence Day does not star any fish or Martin Scorsese.
But Will Smith does show up too late to the party.
He shows up 20 minutes and 58 seconds in.
It's wild.
Because he showed up so late, I stopped, I paused, and I was like, 21 exactly. And I was like, wait, what is the first frame of Smith in this? And it's him sitting up in his bed 21 minutes into this movie. Which, by the way, is 2.5 hours long.
I love this movie, though. It didn't feel like 2.5 hours to me.
Okay.
Because that's the thing.
It felt like that to me.
I have so many fond memories of this movie and all the performances. Like, this was probably the first thing I saw Jeff Goldblum in. Probably the first thing I saw Harvey Fierstein in.
So this was my first time seeing this movie all the way through.
Really?
I knew everything that happened, basically. Mm-hmm. I've seen chunks of it at houses. I've seen chunks of it at parties. I've seen, it was playing on a TV every single time I walked into Hollywood Video. It was up there because it's the summer blockbuster for our generation.
Yeah.
And so the White House exploding is always playing, or like people talking. So I've seen people talk about it on YouTube videos or whatever. So I felt like I'd seen it, and watching it, I was like, oh yeah. But I'd never sat down and gone from start to finish. And that's when I put it on Hulu, and I'm like, 2.5 hours. It was probably awesome in theaters.
Oh, I would love to see this movie in theaters.
Like when it was coming out, I bet it was a big deal. It was, Stupid.
Stupid.
It is a stupid movie.
It is bare bones. We gotta kill the aliens. I will admit the story for this is pretty thin.
Thin, but also like, what? Like, why? Because we open with aliens showing up on the moon. Decent enough, like very standard opening, right? Shadow over the moon.
Yeah.
And then the scientists get their little readings and they're like, oh shit, something's coming. And then we go to the president,
Bill Pullman,
who's living not with his wife, and he has a young daughter, but him and his wife are pretty old for having a young daughter, and so that's already like a cognitive dissonance.
No, he's honestly like kind of. They make it a point in the movie to say that he's young for a president. That he's like
he's young for a president, but he's got like a 5-year-old daughter, and he's like 45. That's an old time to have a 5-year-old daughter.
I suppose.
It's not impossible. I just think it was just a strange choice. I don't know why she's not a little older. Because she doesn't do anything in the movie. And that's the other thing that's confusing. What is the point of this daughter? He just carries her from scene to scene.
To be played by Mae Whitman.
Is she in something else? This kid looked familiar.
So I know her for a lot of voice acting roles.
Okay.
Yeah, she went on to be, like, she was in, like, The Owl House on Disney and stuff, which people love.
Okay. As this little girl?
No,
she's like, I was in Independence Day.
No,
find more aliens.
No, she played a character named Amity that would end up being the love interest, and there's like a gay, like the main character was in like a gay relationship in the Owl House, and that was like a big deal for Disney when it happened.
Okay, so then Bill Pullman's like, what's going on? And they're like, we don't know. Look at this graph and whatever. And you're just wait, but we know it's aliens.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for them to figure it out. It's aliens, and we're just watching conversations like, is it a meteor? And we're like, no, it's aliens.
It's called dramatic irony.
I guess, but it's...
Dramatic irony is when we are privy to the information.
Sure, and so we were like, we got to wait for them to figure out. But the first 20 minutes of this movie are just them going, I wonder what it is. And then we cut to Jeff Goldblum, who's playing chess with
Judd Hirsch, his dad, in the park.
Yes. We're like, okay, now he's got to figure it out, but he's not figuring it out. He's like, hey, everybody recycle.
Everybody recycle. I'm going through a divorce.
And so...
No, I'm sorry, 4 years. The divorce was 4 years ago, and he's still wearing the wedding ring.
It's such a strange opening to the movie for me in the sense that I'm just waiting for them to figure out it's aliens.
Honestly, like, I was just enjoying the performances because these are, actors I enjoy. So it was like, yeah, you figured out, Jeff. You're having a ball riding your bike through the office.
But the smoke clouds appearing in orbit, awesome.
Oh, like the godlights and stuff?
Yeah, the visuals of those things like going over cities. And then the aliens are finally revealed. They're finally coming out of the smoke, and all that shit looks great.
Yeah.
So I'm not actually that like, all right, let's hurry it up. I just found it strange the way the movie is framed. Like, I get the dramatic irony, but we have so much more information than the characters. You're like, somebody figure out something.
Yeah, because we don't even really see what's going on until Will Smith is introduced. Like, he goes out to get the paper, and he's looking out, like, his house is up on a hill, and we just see it over Los Angeles or something.
Yeah.
And... yeah, I guess that is a really long time, but they have a lot of characters to set up.
And that's the other thing I don't understand about this movie. Why do they have a lot of characters to set up?
I think every character fills a role. I think it's did you ever weird comparison? Did you ever see the movie Battle in Seattle?
No.
Okay.
I've never even heard of this.
Okay, so there were real there was a real was it World Health Organization? So there were real riots in Seattle in like 1995 or something regarding like how people in positions of power were handling a situation. And they made a movie, Battle in Seattle, that had a bunch of characters, but it was all about perspective. It was like, okay, we're going to show you the perspective of a cop during this, of a rioter during this, of like, there was a bystander during this. So
I think I've heard of this.
Yeah, so in my head, that's what they're doing is, if aliens came to Earth, how would a world leader react? We have the president of the United States. How would a scientist react? We have Jeff Goldblum. How would a religious person react to not being alone? We have Judd Hirsch.
These aren't real people.
No.
These are not real reactions. These are...
scripted reactions.
well, over-the-top reactions. Like, this is borderline a cartoon. which I don't have an issue with. Very quickly on, the aliens position all over every major city in the world, basically. It's like they say like 30 major cities or something like that. And that's when we finally get like our characters all coalesce at the White House. Like Jeff Goldblum makes it to the White House because he realizes a countdown and stuff like that. And they shoot a laser and they blow up every major city. Every major city. That is an insane amount of deaths. That is world changing, like permanently different Earth. No matter the outcome, win, lose, or draw of this situation, this is a different world.
Yeah.
And our characters are responding like they dropped a building. Like 9/11 just happened, but aliens did it. So like, we got to get revenge, you know? But that's not what happened. Like, the Earth's population, like the planet is notably lighter now.
Yes.
We just lost 1 billion people. Like 20% of the planet just got vaporized.
I do agree. I think there is some dissonance in the reaction.
I don't mind it because they're cartoony people.
Yeah.
But it struck me as weird that the death toll is that high, where it's like, listen, because I don't know why it has to be, because the movie's about stopping one alien ship. And then later on they mention, oh, we learned and we stopped all of them. But every city, New York, gone. Houston, gone. LA, gone.
DC,
gone. Moscow, gone.
London,
gone. Like, do you know how many people are dead? And then like we're
billions.
And so like, I don't have an issue with Jeff Goldblum then being God on Air Force One and all that. Like, you figured it out, you roll with me, because in my head we're now in a disaster situation of there isn't a United States. Like, there's like, you know, how many people, 300 million people in the country. If we hit every major city or most of them, how many people are left?
You know,
like,
you know what's so funny? I never once thought about the death toll in this movie. I've never once like tried to calculate or thought about the ramifications, because I mentioned that both these movies today are very like patriot coded.
Yeah.
They're very like, they have the flag imagery. They have a lot of like, well, this, you know, I'm a solid, you know, tax paying American citizen. I have more criticisms of the U.S. government than I do praise. I am, you know, we just live in such a plugged in age, a very like information heavy age where we're more privy to information.
Mm.
But when the White House explodes in the movie, to this day, I'm just thinking, well, we can't let him get away with that. We're not just going to let him get away with that, are we?
Yeah.
I feel like this movie makes me feel the most patriotic I think I have ever felt.
Interesting.
It makes me want to have a hot dog and put on a cowboy hat. I think this movie works incredibly well. I think this movie is written, edited, and paced in such a way to keep it. It feels like the kind of movie that Michael Bay wants to make every time. It feels like every movie that Michael Bay wants to pump out.
Well, that's Roland Emmerich. Roland Emmerich thinks he's James Cameron, Michael Bay, and J.J. Abrams all in one. And unfortunately, he's Roland Emmerich.
But unfortunately, if this was the only movie that like he ever made, I'd believe him.
He made Godzilla 98 right after this.
Oh, no.
Womp, womp.
Oh, no.
And much like how this movie apes other famous movies, that movie just steals from Jurassic Park by the end.
What movies does Independence Day ape?
Maybe it's just like a little too War of the Worlds-y, but I don't actually have an issue with it. I wasn't thinking, oh, this is unoriginal, because it was like so clearly supposed to be, you know, like pulling from 50s sci. When you go to Area 51 and you're like, oh, Roswell, like of course you're pulling from 50s sci-fi and stuff like that.
And it's fun.
It is fun. And that's the thing. I remember a lot of complaints about this movie. This is what was getting me, because I don't love it actually, but a lot of the complaints were like, well, this isn't how normal people would react. And like I was saying, like, no, they're cartoons.
Who gives a shit?
But like, this isn't a serious movie. They're like our team of Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum, and Bill Pullman need to work together to stop aliens. Yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, in this setup, we cut to Randy Quaid being drunk, flying a plane.
I guess we should bring up Randy Quaid because that was the whole fucking point.
Well, and that's another thing that's weird with this movie. Randy Quaid has very little reason to be in this movie.
It could have been anybody at the end of the movie. When we say Randy Quaid saves the day, it could have been anybody, but they just wrote a character for that moment later in the movie.
Yeah. And so we see him drunk, crop dusting the wrong places.
The wrong field.
You can fly a plane drunk, I guess. And he's like, I used to be abducted by aliens. Everyone's like, you're crazy. And then aliens show up and they're like, I guess he's not, which I found enjoyable.
Yes, I thought that was a great angle.
It's really funny to trash a guy, turn around and there's an alien over your house and you're like, he's a hero. He's a prophet.
Holy shit, they're real. Cause like, I think very, very clearly just, touching what might be a nerve here. It's very clearly like all of those, like I was abducted is very clearly like allegories for like male sexual assault and how nobody believes it.
In this movie?
Well, that's how, because they bring it up multiple times that they, he says they sexually assaulted me.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
They say, were you... they make fun of him, like, did you get probed up there? And then later on the interview, that when they're now like, they believe him because aliens are there, they're like, he was always an honest man, straightforward, and it's a shame what happened to those aliens abused him sexually. But he never says yes or no. He just says, like, they took me and ruined my life. Like, they ruined my brain, made him.
Okay.
And I don't think Roland Emmerich is the director that has allegories for anything. I think the joke is just, maybe these aliens put stuff in his butt. Haha. And then there's aliens. And then they're worried, like, are those aliens going to put stuff in my butt? Like, I think you're giving this movie too much credit.
They still give him, like, when they're doing the... way later when they have like, oh, we need everybody to fly these planes, we need everybody involved, and they get people from these small rural towns. I think he says like to the president, he's like, and if it's all the same, sir, like I've been waiting to get revenge on them for years. He gives his little story of like, I was abducted. Like, even though we see the aliens in the air, Bill Pullman still gives them like a side eye, like, sure, buddy.
So he's there and he's got kids. First of all, I did not realize they were his kids.
He says it in the movie.
I know, but I missed it and they don't look like him at all. And so I couldn't I legitimately just thought they hung out with him.
Just hung out with this old man?
Because he's a crazy guy. So like it's kind of a movie. And this is the type of movie that would be like, they hang out with the crazy guy.
Yeah, crazy old man Johnson who crops the...
And there's orphans or whatever that live in a dirty trailer. Because like this movie doesn't explain too much backstory.
No.
And it doesn't have to. But no, they're his kids. And I was like, okay, that one kind of looks like a young Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. Miguel, I can't remember the actor's name, but yeah.
And then there's the other kids that I thought all of them were siblings, but then one of them's talking to the girl and he's like, you don't want to die a virgin, right? And I was like, excuse me? And then I realized, oh, that's a neighbor boy who's just horny.
Who just happens to look like her brother, because then her brother shows up and I'm like, these guys look very similar.
I thought it was the same guy. I was like, what the fuck? Are they not? First of all, and then I was like, okay. So... but like the whole dynamic of Randy Quaid's life was confusing to me, both in this movie and currently in the world. But
I think he still lives in Canada.
I think he still lives in a tent.
In Canada.
Every time they'd cut to it, I'd be like, oh yeah, he's in the movie. Because I'd forget it. Because now we got to go to Will Smith, who has an adopted stepchild. He's not married yet, but he's basically kind of fathering the kid.
Yeah.
And because he's dating a stripper. Who's still a stripper.
NASA won't let him fly the jet.
And he's like an accomplished jet pilot.
Yeah.
He's the leader of the squadron.
Yeah.
Tell her to quit her stripping job. Baby, I'll pay for it. You don't have to be a stripper. Yeah. Like, you've got a 5-year-old-ish kid as well. Like,
that's interesting. That is an angle. The thing that I thought was, damn, NASA's full of fucking prudes. Who cares how my spouse is earning money? I've got the grades. I can fly the plane.
It's also weird that he wants to be an astronaut.
Is it?
It's like, I get it, Air Force to astronaut, but don't you do like, that's not the pipeline. Again, it's cartoony, so I don't really care. But it's just another thing where it's like, the details of your personal life, this character's personal life, don't make any sense to me. Why is she a stripper?
To provide for her son.
But like, he makes enough money.
Does he?
Yes.
Okay.
They
no, like I hadn't thought about that before. But you're right. I think that is a conversation worth having.
It's a weird job to give his girlfriend. Like, she could be an ex-stripper. It's weird that she's still a stripper because it doesn't line up with anything else in that situation.
Because sex sells. They needed titties to put in the trailer.
They can put titties in the trailer anyway. They can find her. They could just have they wake up in bed together. She could just be like, get up, we got to make breakfast. And she walks to the bathroom and you see her butt and you go, whoa! like it's a movie. You get to invent what happens, but it's weird that they invented stripper scene.
And then her stripper friend says, I want to meet the aliens.
And gets blown up. But again, that could just be some dumb idiot she knows. She's like, our neighbor wants to meet the aliens. Kerblooey.
So dumb.
So anyway,
I had so much fun with this movie.
I didn't have a ton of fun with this movie.
I'm so sorry you can't experience childlike glee.
I didn't hate it. I was just like, this is going on a while. And then
there's no fat to trim. This movie is perfect.
No fat to trim.
There's no fat to
There's
trim.
like multiple characters to trim.
Name one.
Bill Pullman's wife.
No, she's important to have a connection between the haves and have-nots. That's why Will Smith's wife is a stripper.
She could be anyone after the world blows up. That's the other.
I could be anyone. I could be a stripper after the world blows up.
Exactly. She could be like, I need to make money in this new Earth. I'm stripping now. Will Smith is like, what?
I legitimately really liked the scene where Will Smith's girlfriend meets the president's wife, and she's like, "Baby, come meet the first lady." And it was this moment of the world is different. Positions of power don't matter anymore.
Yes. The city blows up, and so now Will Smith thinks his wife's dead.
And then
girlfriend.
And then the airbase also gets hit or something. So later when she drives there, she thinks Will Smith is dead.
And so then we're just prepping to get at these aliens. We're going to launch a nuke at them. The nuke doesn't work.
They go to Area 51.
That's it. Like, the Earth is different.
Yeah.
The president approved a nuclear launch on his own soil. He blew up Houston. Like, this isn't like all right, now to crack a joke. All right, buddy. Like, but it's the type of movie. It's just a cartoon. Sure. And then I don't even remember what. Oh, Will Smith steals a helicopter. He steals a helicopter.
Yeah. And he said, just tell him I punched you.
And then
do you really want to shoot me?
And then he comes back and they're like, you're flying the UFO.
Yeah. So Judd Hirsch, who up until this point has only been nagging.
We didn't even mention Will Smith's gay lover.
Oh yeah, his best friend. There's a lot of like.
There's a dogfight with aliens that doesn't lead anywhere, but all his friends die, and Will Smith kills an alien, so they let him on base. Yeah,
that's how Will Smith gets to Area 51, and then everybody else is on Air Force One. And Judd Hirsch is asking, don't you have aliens? What about Roswell, New Mexico, 1950, whatever? And Bill Pullman's like, you crazy old son of a bitch. There's no such thing. And one of his advisors is like, actually, Mr. President, we do have aliens at Area 51. And
these aliens. These guys.
Yeah, these exact aliens. Why did I not bring any of this up before? I don't know. I'm fired.
I'm kind of an evil dickhead with nothing to gain or lose.
Yeah.
I exist purely to be told I'm a dickhead.
So everybody ends up at Area 51 and Brent Spiner's there.
Mm-hmm. Who, as a cartoon scientist.
Yeah, he's got the wild hair and he's very like socially awkward, and he's just like, they don't let us out very much.
And he finds the invasion fun because it's all his hard work is paying off in the sense that aliens are real. I can talk about it now.
He's been buried underground. He doesn't see the destruction. It's just like numbers on a graph to him.
And the president's like, is this the time to be joking around? And I'm like, you tell me, movie. It's been every other time. Cracking wise as my friends burn up.
So they have the UFO, and they use the UFO from Roswell 1950 whatever to figure out how all of the alien ships work. They create a virus to get around the shields.
Yeah.
And then they say, cool, so without the shields, now we can actually blow them up.
Which is fine. And they send Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith into space.
Will Smith flies the plane, and Jeff Goldblum has a laptop to send out the virus.
And so, like, all of this is fine. It's not engaging.
It's engaging. I'm having a great time.
I'm enjoying these characters talking to each other. Jeff Goldblum is a great actor who thinks he's in a movie that's real. it's just, he was jacked in this movie, by the way.
Everybody was weirdly in shape.
It's awesome. Like Jeff Goldblum, he's got that low cut tank top under his flannel. And like you could just tell, I'm like, yeah, like take it off, slut.
You can see pecs.
Yeah, and I didn't realize it, and it was just awesome. I just want to see young Jeff Goldblum beat the shit out of people.
I mean, he was also like weirdly in shape for like Jurassic Park. Like there's the very famous like his shirt's unbuttoned, he's laying down.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I love Jeff Goldblum. Yeah. I like him in this movie. I like Will Smith in this movie. I like everyone in this movie. I just think it's like weirdly not impactful. And that's why, like, if I was in a theater of people hooting and hollering as shit blows up, I'd probably be feeling it. But like alone in my house on Hulu, and I'm just like, ugh.
We should have watched this movie together because I was hooting and hollering alone in my house. I need a crowd
though. I'd just be like, calm down, spaz.
You can't say that one.
Oh, is that a slur?
It is across the pond.
That's a fake place. That got blown up by aliens.
This movie's not impactful, but I'm gonna believe it's real when it benefits me. They're not real anymore.
And then when America finally has a plan, we cut to some of those British, bean-eating chuds, and they're like, finally, the good old Uncle Sam's got a plan ready for me.
Yeah, we cut to all of these different places around the world, and everybody's like, thank God America finally has a plan, which is where I get like weirdly patriotic.
Yeah, it's awesome. We're like world leaders.
We're the world leader. Everybody was waiting on us.
We have never been second place.
So fucking dumb.
It's awesome. No, I feel that too. I get where it is. Like again, if I was watching this on the 4th of July, like if they do some sort of like 30th anniversary event or some shit, I'll go see this in a theater on the 4th of July and lose my mind with people. But I'm just like, I'm acknowledging that it can work on me. It just didn't work currently.
Okay.
I'll be propagandized, but I need to be in the right environment.
Once again, you always need to criticize. No government is free from criticism. However, we're really going to let them fucking get away with that shit?
Exactly. They blew it up. We got to go. Arm yourselves, boys.
I would immediately enlist if aliens showed up.
Like, there's a part in this movie where they're like going past TV screens, like when the aliens have first appeared before the war has started.
Yeah.
And the news report is, we're asking Angelinos, like Los Angeles residents, they have some word for it, like
Los Angelinos or something.
It's something like that, to not fire guns at the aliens. That's what I'm feeling patriotic. Like a dude just walks out of his house, looks in the skies, like, grab my tech. I'm gonna solve this problem.
Not on my 4th of July weekend.
Exactly. God damn it.
My 3-day weekend is ruined.
And that's kind of how the movie ends, because Randy Quaid, not knowing his son, is hearing over the radio, is like, tell my kids I love them. This is when I figured out they were his kids, by the way.
Yeah, so Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith, they end up, in the mothership. They take down the shields. And for some reason, like, the big ship, they still couldn't blow up.
They're stuck. They can't. So they're gonna shoot a nuke, but they can't leave. So they accept that they're gonna nuke and die for the world. Which is Hoorah, America.
It's also worth noting that before this, both of them fixed their relationships. Will Smith and his girlfriend get married, and Jeff Goldblum and his ex-wife hold hands as witnesses at the ceremony. Like, maybe we can make it's the end of the world. Maybe we can make it work.
Sure.
And she's like, "You're gonna die anyway."
And that's and boom, perfect. Like I'm saying, like all that. Once the movie's going, and there's about an hour and 30 minutes in, like a regular movie's runtime's left in this movie. It's like, all right.
But I mean, it's worth noting that like they actually have things to like live for, but they're
willing to die.
Yeah, they're willing to die for the world.
That's awesome.
But Randy Quaid shows up.
And he's like, none of the missiles are working. We're all out of missiles. Bill Pullman's now flying wingman. The president, who's gotten to a jet, which again is I remember seeing criticism where people are like, would they let a president fly a jet?
Who cares?
No, but they wouldn't. But they also wouldn't do anything else in this movie because again, it is one step away from Looney Tunes. Like this is a joke movie.
if I saw on the news, aliens are real, Sleepy Joe suiting up.
If I saw Sleepy Joe, if I saw Joe Biden putting on one of those fucking like Master Chief looking aviator helmets, and he's like, I'm taking the fight to them, as he's loading into one of those B-2 stealth bombers that cost $2 billion per plane.
I'll tell you something, Jack. I'm not about to let them ruin what makes this country.
I've got 9 months left on this earth. I'd rather spend them in space. I'd be like, hell yes. It's so, he's flying wingman for Randy Quaid, and Randy Quaid's like, hey there, boys, I'm back.
Hello, boys. God, it's such a good delivery.
And then he just you're seeing the laser start firing as this plane spirals into it with a missile. The missile doesn't work. Again, he immediately goes like, all right, I'm dying with this missile for this country I love. Hell yeah. I'm telling you, it'll work. It'll work on me. If I get a crowd of people,
the propaganda will work.
I'll be like, it's time. We need to show them who's boss. And you're like, who's them? And I'm like,
You go out, you just rip the flag out of the wall over here. It's like, I got places to be.
I will lead the charge.
You start marching on the Capitol in Olympia. Like, did we radicalize him the right way?
It's unclear what he believes, but he demands control. So they all blow up aliens, and everyone blows up the aliens, and then Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum, I think they're going to die, but then they're going to survive, and they do survive, and they also blow up aliens.
I see what you mean by Looney Tunes, because there's a great reversal on, like, the alien in control of the mothership. It's like the bomb, reversal on the alien just looking at it, back to the bomb.
It is. I forgot about that part. Was killing me because he's like looking at it and he's like, what the hell? Like something's wrong with the computer. And then the missile fires right by him and he's like, oh, fuck. And then we cut to other aliens doing their job. Like they're not fighter pilots. They're like AC repairmen who's just like a nuke goes through the window and they're like, oh, fuck.
Just in the break room, like, shit.
And so, they all save the day. And then this is what I'm talking about. Like, the world is different, though. They're just looking at wreckages of ships, and all big cities are gone. They're going to have to rebuild America from, like, Appleton, Wisconsin.
Our new capital, Columbus, Ohio, the only big city left standing.
It's a different world, but it's whatever, and the music rolls. And I unironically, I don't like this movie that much. I want more of them in theaters.
It's crazy because there was a sequel to this movie in like 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
I never saw it, but I would be curious if they ever actually bring up. So they blew up every major city last time.
I don't know. I remember seeing trailers where they're like, we built the tech. Like we used their tech to build our own. So it's like space warfare versus space warfare. I don't think, or I know Will Smith isn't in it.
I think Jeff Goldblum's back.
Judd Hirsch is.
Oh my God.
Because
I like Judd Hirsch, but
he is cartooning it up. He is a caricature in this movie.
He is the caricature.
Most Jewish old man you can meet.
It's incredible. I forgot about it, and then every time he speaks, again, he's a fun character. He's a fun character actor. I love seeing him in things. But I forgot how cartoonish he was in this film.
He is.
I'm trying to think. I had something else in my brain. It fell out. It's probably not useful.
Like most of the scenes in this movie.
Yeah.
The other movie we watched this week.
Which was fucking dog shit.
What? Makes me patriotic.
So this is actually a great fucking... Okay, no, so...
Days of Thunder.
Tom Cruise. Weirdly, like a lot of people that would go on to be bigger names.
Directed by Tony Scott, who directed Man on Fire.
Yeah.
Who directed the original Top Gun.
Yeah. Younger brother of Ridley Scott?
I don't think so. I don't think they're related.
They are.
Oh.
They're brothers. I can't remember who's older, though.
Okay. Well, he's dead.
He committed suicide.
I don't think that's the same guy. All right. Well, I'm not going to fact check it.
We can put it into the description of this.
There'll be a little blurb on if these two are related. Because I know Ridley Scott had a brother who killed himself. I don't think it's this.
It's Tony Scott.
I don't think it is.
It's Tony Scott.
Okay. So, Days of Thunder. Another movie with Randy Quaid, Tom Cruise,
Carrie Elwes for some reason, Michael Rooker, who would go on to be a bigger name,
Robert Duvall, Nicole Kidman,
who's in the terrible AMC.
This movie rules.
Does it?
So it was very clearly, the easiest way to describe it is it's trying to do what Top Gun did for the Navy Air Force, or like the Navy fighter pilots. It's trying to do for NASCAR.
Get people to do NASCAR?
Well, like, it made those cool. Top Gun was like part of the cultural zeitgeist because of that movie, and like fighter pilots, blah blah. Like, it spiked Navy. People tried to join the Navy because of Top Gun.
That's why Maverick was bought and paid for by Lockheed Martin.
Days of Thunder is the same director, the same lead. They're trying to just like get NASCAR to be the new cool thing.
I guess. There are not nearly enough crashes, though.
That being said, I'm shocked you don't like this movie. You said it's dog shit?
Honestly, and I think I put it in best words on my fucking letterbox, was just with all of the names attached, I was expecting more.
More what?
More anything. I didn't care about a single thing until there was half an hour left in the film. I was watching this. I wasn't connecting to any characters. I didn't care what was happening. The will they, won't they between Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. I just didn't care.
They're going fast.
Okay. You know who else went fast? Ferrari. Ferrari's a better movie than this.
Ferrari's about the man making the cars, though. This is about the man racing the cars.
Yeah, the one cool car crash in Ferrari is cooler than every car crash in this movie.
That's because Michael Mann's the GOAT.
I'll watch more Michael Mann movies, but you're not selling me on Tom Cruise right now.
Oh my God.
You're fighting from underneath now, trying to get me to watch fucking Mission Impossible.
That's crazy. Days of Thunder, it starts with just shots of racetracks and everything. A lot of Confederate flags, which is, I mean, they still pop up in NASCAR now. But I never realized how many times we cut to a Confederate flag and then we cut away and then we cut back to like closer up on a Confederate flag. I was like, wait, what?
It's a different time. It was 1990.
Fast ass racers.
They're going fast.
Revving, cranking things, doing whatever, turning that wheel. And I'm like, hell yes. The sky is orange every single day for no reason. It's awesome.
Because are they trying to do like a sunset thing?
I think so. And just kind of like the tone of the movie.
Yeah, because I noticed a lot of use, just in terms of the palette for this movie, a lot of green is usually around, like, there's a huge pop of green around, like, the pit crew.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the crew, the car, like, when Tom Cruise is racing, like, that's where we see mostly green.
Mm-hmm.
But there's lots of, like, warm tones, oranges and reds around, like, everything that isn't racing.
Yeah. We're very quickly introduced to Michael Rooker, because after that race, we cut to
Randy Quaid talking to a dude on a tractor. He's just like, I need you to build me a race car. Build me a race car, tractor man.
And Robert Duvall is like, listen, partner.
I don't build race cars no more.
But in fact, he's enticed because he shows him Michael Rooker driving in a circle. And Michael Rooker is a great driver and his car is bomb as hell. And then
I like Michael Rooker in this movie.
And then they're like, all right, well, who's going to drive this badass car? Enter Tom Cruise on a motorcycle. Who shows up to drive a car.
This movie did trick me in the first 10 minutes. I was interested in the first 10 minutes.
All right, partner.
Well, it hit a certain threshold. It was like, okay, like this is what we're doing. And then it never exceeded that. We just kind of plateaued at about the 10, 15 minute mark. And it stayed at this level for a while. And I was like, okay, what's going to happen?
I could see that. So I may have misled you. I never said this was the best of Tom Cruise.
No, I don't think. No, you never said this was the best of Tom Cruise. But you are a very vocal Tom Cruise fan.
Yeah.
And this was your half of the episode that you picked out, because I think we started talking, I think, about like just a Dennis Quaid, Randy Quaid thing, and I brought up Independence Day for Randy Quaid, and you said counterpoint, Randy Quaid is also in this one and helps for no reason.
Which is true.
Yeah, and like that's a funny combination. All right.
So enter Tom Cruise, and he drives Michael Rooker's car, which is like cucking him.
Yeah, Michael Rooker's not happy about it.
And sure enough, Tom Cruise is an incredible driver.
I will say, I like Tom Cruise's character in this movie because this is before he was a huge name. He had done like a couple big things, but this was really before Mission Impossible made him, immortal and stuff. His character has really good flaws.
Yes. And that's what makes Tom Cruise movies awesome. Is even in Mission Impossible, his weaknesses are great.
The only Tom Cruise movie, just for your information, the only Tom Cruise movie that I can think of off the top of my head that I've seen all the way through that I can remember is Rain Man.
Okay.
And he's a piece of shit in that movie.
Well, in this movie too, he's very quickly, you see how egocentric he is.
Mm-hmm.
And how he doesn't like to be wrong, and he thinks he's hot shit. And Robert Duvall is a mix of like interested because he's like, all right, but also like, come on, buddy, shut the fuck up.
Guy can drive, but also I'm the old guard. I used to drive NASCAR. I've seen your types before.
John C. Reilly, another name that's in this movie.
Yeah.
Just from very young compared to when he got big.
Yeah, and like I saw at the beginning that like Cary Elwes was in this movie, but I didn't recognize him. I had to go back and like just go to Google Images, Days of Thunder, Cary Elwes. And it's like, oh, fuck, that's it.
He's in it for 2 minutes.
Yeah, and they're like interview sections like on TV. It's like, what? So many names.
So Robert Duvall and Tom Cruise, he builds him a fuck-ass car. He wants to fuck that car.
He wants to fuck
He's
that
like
car.
talking to it. He's like, you gonna be beautiful. I'm gonna shave half an inch. I'm gonna jam an engine in you. I'm gonna fuck the shit out of your exhaust port and hand you over to Tom.
What was that, Robert? Nothing.
Are you rolling?
Get that fucking camera out of here. You can't film me.
He builds a car, and Tom Cruise immediately can't drive it too good. They're losing races because he's a good driver, but he's a bad racer. And I liked this. I like that the movie, our lead guy, Tom Cruise, the biggest name, is just this like dickhead. Like he's just a dick. And Robert Duvall is just poking the bear.
There's a great two great like back-to-back scenes about them, like about Tom and Robert hashing it out. Because Randy Quaid is the one kind of bankrolling all of this to begin with. They're looking for sponsors, and they're in like a bar or something, and Randy says, everybody else get the fuck out. What's going on between you two? Like, you're just not communicating what's going on. They have arguments. And then I don't know if it's immediately the next scene, but there is a follow-up scene where they're in a different bar.
We'll get to that because I want to talk about that. But real quick,
yeah,
are you invested at this point? Because as someone you don't like the movie, like Tom Cruise is losing race after race. Robert Duvall is getting more and more annoyed with him to the point where he's at the end won't even pit for him. He's like, I need to pit, and he's like, we're eating ice cream, and so like Tom Cruise pulls over and they get in a fist fight. Like, are you already checked out of these characters?
Kinda, yeah.
Why is that?
Maybe it's because I don't care about the subject matter, maybe, or like. It's like, I'm not winning these races. They're blaming each other. You don't know how to handle my car. Well, you're not
building it right.
Yeah,
or
you're
whatever.
not building it right. My answer would be, who gives a shit? If Randy Quaid cares so much about, getting a good race team together, one of these guys has got to go then.
But he needs he needs a driver.
Yeah.
And this is the only one he can afford.
Okay.
And Duvall is retired, but it's the best. Like, that's the point. The point is they need to learn oil and water.
Okay.
But that doesn't click with you at all.
No, I get it. But no, it just, on paper, I understand it, but it's just not clicking.
Not
with
clicking.
me.
Because of it being racing?
It might be because it's racing. It might be just because I haven't seen a whole lot of... I grew up in a staunchly like anti-Tom Cruise household.
Anti-Tom Cruise?
Anti-Tom Cruise.
What does that even mean?
My mom hates the man.
What?
My mom hates Tom Cruise.
How do you hate the man?
She doesn't like any of his movies.
Okay.
I think the only one that she said that she was okay with was Top Gun, and even then, like, it was like biting her lips seeing red when Tom Cruise was on screen. Like, she just does not. So I did not grow up on any Tom Cruise films.
Me neither.
But like I
didn't grow up from a anti Tom Cruise hating.
Yeah, no, I grew up in a
I just didn't really see him as a kid.
I grew up in a Tom Cruise hating household. So like, I don't know if there's just something deep seated in my brain where I'm watching this movie like, I don't like this guy.
Okay. So you didn't like him.
I could have been psyoped when I was a child.
Well, so you don't care about the movie, but you don't like Tom Cruise? Like, you want the character to fail?
I didn't like him in this. I didn't care if he succeeded or failed. I didn't care.
Interesting. So after they get in a fight and Randy Quaid says, "You two figure this the fuck out. I'm not getting any sponsors. You won't get to race. If we don't get someone, we all sort of need each other and got to work together." Robert Duvall and Tom Cruise meet up in a bar.
A different bar.
Well, they were in the garage. That was like the coffee section of the garage.
Okay. It looked like there was like an actual like bar in the back, but that could have just been a table or something.
Yeah, because later on there's like a goofy scene with coffee and stuff like that. But
yeah. Okay.
That was like the break room. So anyway, they go to a bar, Tom Cruise and Duvall's like, "Listen, we got to work together. Like, if you want this to work, just tell me what you need. I'll build you the car how you want to build it. I just need to know." And Tom Cruise goes, "I can't." And he's like, "Why?" He goes,
"Don't know."
He goes, "I don't know very much about cars." And it's such a funny line. I lose it. I've seen this movie twice now. Both times it's just so funny that's our character's dark secret. It's like, I don't know a lot about cars.
He leans into Robert Duvall. He's like, "I'm stupid. I don't have the vocabulary for this."
And he peeks over his shoulder too. He like checks that no one hears him. No one in this bar.
I fucking loved this scene because when Tom Cruise said, I don't know if he says I'm stupid or I'm not very smart about these things.
Yeah. He goes, "I'm an idiot."
I just as a gut reaction, I'm like, "Yeah, you are." Like, out loud. So apologies to Tom Cruise if he ever hears this, but like, I didn't believe it.
I loved it. And it's so funny that this is our dark secret for our character. It's like, I don't know a lot about cars. And Duvall's like, "No driver does." He's like, no, literally nothing.
Everything you just said about the speed and the engine, I don't know what that means.
They put me in it and I'm a good driver.
They told me to drive and I did.
It's awesome. That is an awesome twist for a movie to have.
It's a good scene with good line. I do enjoy that scene.
Okay, because not only is it funny, it's just like like for drivers, this being the ultimate thing. Like, I can drive and I am one of them at my soul, but my brain is just empty.
I don't know what the speedometer is.
I'm just cranking the wheel, and as long as I've been able to go faster than everyone, is hilarious. So then they now have to learn to work together in the sense that, like, you tell me what you need and I'll translate it to the crew. And it's enjoyable, and he becomes sort of a father figure because you learn that the reason Tom Cruise doesn't open up to people is his dad scammed him out of his previous sponsorship money and stuff when he was doing like off-road racing of some sort, not stock car racing, but like whatever.
So I do remember at this point in the movie, I was engaging more because things were getting resolved. We were seeing growth in the characters. The reveals, I think, helped, humanize the characters. So I was, locking in a little bit more. And then
he gets jerked off by a stripper.
That's not the scene I'm talking about, but that does happen. Actually, I guess that's important later.
It's hilarious because it's totally out of left field for the movie.
Yeah,
and the way it comes up later, it doesn't need to, because like he when he's waking up from the injury, he could just be like disoriented and a little goofy, but instead he gets jerked off by a stripper, and it's like, ha ha.
And then later when he sees his doctor, the beautiful Nicole Kidman, so. There's a crash.
There is a crash. He goes, now that he has worked out racing, he wins a race against Michael Rooker.
Michael doesn't like that.
So then at the next race, there's a whole back and forth that there's a crash on the track.
Yeah.
There's smoke, and in it's one of those things where we don't know who's at fault. But Michael Rooker and Tom Cruise smash into each other. Something I have not mentioned is Tom Cruise's name in this movie is Cole Trickle. just popped in my head, and it's written on his fucking helmet, and it's not a biopic.
No.
His name could be anything. Why the fuck
Trickle.
is it Cole Trickle?
It doesn't even like roll off the tongue very well.
No. And I don't know, like, it's a decent syllables, right? Like one syllable first name, 2 syllable last, like, sure, anything, the hard consonant, trickle.
Could have been like Nate Tracer.
There you go. That's a little too like, oh yeah, Nate Tracer.
But this
like,
is also 1990, so
it could be anything except for a name that sounds like he pisses himself.
Little Colson Trickle.
Little Cole Trickle. Oh, did you get in a fight again, little? You pee yourself again, little Cole Trickle?
Yeah, it sounds like a nickname a bully would make up for him.
Yeah. Like he ran out of Tommy P pants. Now it's Cole Trickle. He's learning. So they get in a crash. Michael Rooker is just kind of unconscious. Cole loses his eyesight for a little bit because of the concussion.
He's got a concussion. His brain is swelling. It's pushing against his eyes, and he loses his vision. So he doesn't see his doctor.
But he finds comfort in Nicole Kidman's like delivery. She's very like direct with him, and she's like, "Just trust me." Blah blah blah. Sure.
And she's got that accent.
Australian?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you trust Australian accents more?
I don't know if it's about trust, but I just think there's something inherently in just like the human brain that finds an accent not native to you. Like there's British people that find American accents attractive and vice versa.
I guess Americans do think British accents make them sound smart and stuff like that.
Yeah, there is just something about an accent that is like I don't want to do the gross thing of like ooh exotic, but like
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so he goes through he slowly gets his sight back, and when he finally does, he sees Nicole Kidman with Robert Duvall and his pit crew. His
whole pit crew comes in and they're like, "Hey, he's okay. This is your doctor."
And he's like, "Yeah, right, boys. This is another jerk off trick."
This beautiful woman's only here to jank my crank. She's not here to check me. And she's doing like the whole doctor thing. She's like, "I'm your doctor. Please follow. I'm going to check your eyesight."
Worth noting, the cop that jerked him off, stripper, did do the whole cop thing too.
Okay.
She gets him out of the car, puts him on the wall. He thinks, and then when she's patting him down, she's like, "Look at that cruise wanger.
Look at that cruise missile you got there in your pocket."
And so then he's like, "All right, doctor, jerk me raw." And she's like, "No, I'm going to go check on my other patients." And he's like, "I've messed up."
Yeah, and I mean, like, Robert Duvall is even like, "No, seriously, this is your doctor."
In the character's defense, to be honest, like, the scene is like, oh, it's a big mess up. The character doesn't feel gross, at least to me, just because he's waking up from a concussion so bad he went blind. So he's pretty disoriented, and he's seeing a situation that he last remembers getting jerked off by a stripper in. So he's like, "Another stripper, hooray!"
All of my friends are around me, and there's a beautiful woman. It's just like the cop.
Yeah. So it doesn't feel like, I don't know, it didn't feel to me like some of these scenes could be like, oh, he really crossed the line. That's horrible.
They do humanize him. Like there's a point Robert Duvall talks to the doctor. He's like, "I don't want that to like cloud your judgment. Like that's a really bad first impression."
Yeah.
You know, like he's not a bad guy. And he does make it a point to be like, "Look, I'm sorry." And she thinks it's something else.
"I thought you were a jerk off doctor. Turns out you were real." "Thought you were too pretty for medical school. Thought they sent you to jerk off school."
This university has 2 wings of education. Doctor, crank.
Uggos to the medical field.
God.
But
what's that? You're a beautiful man. You can't be a doctor.
You're in the jerk off emporium. "I was top of my class. Should have been uglier."
It's just like Henry Cavill in Glass is like the most just like attractive, and it's like sorry.
Josh Hartnett from Oppenheimer. "To the jerk off room."
I thought I had to be ugly. We're letting this one go.
Josh Hartnett in Oppenheimer is not ugly.
That's what I said, because you're
guess.
sending him to the jerk off.
To jerk people off.
Oh, because
jerked off.
I think I lost the thread.
It's a practice session. They take turns. It's like, all right, you're gonna be the demo today.
They have the like observation rooms. They've got the domes. Instead of watching surgery, it's doctors watching
beautiful people jerk each other.
It's for human anatomy.
What are we learning here? How about you mind your fucking business?
I'm
Being
busy.
in this dome is a privilege. Now back to my Cavalhartnett jerk off. This is excellent science.
It's so funny just to imagine like every branch of study. Like I went to clown college and there's observation rooms. Like there's an open body and he's just pulling like small intestine like
a straw scarves.
Yeah, scarves tied together, but it's just small intestines. It won't stop.
Guy with white face paint and red nose is behind the like see-through glass, like excellent.
Dr. Bondo, help! It's happening again!
Oh no, Sicko the terminally ill butthole clown has returned. Now we see what after his near-death experience.
We're back, baby! Oh my god.
But he
what were we talking about?
Nicole Kidman breaks every law a doctor could do and falls in love with Tom Cruise.
I forgot we were still in Days of Thunder.
Which is fine for a movie. Like, I get it. This would be totally crossing the line in real life, but it's a movie. It's like, yeah, they fall in love.
No, but at least she waits, because there's like a whole thing, like she's doing his like physical and she's maintaining a level of professionalism during the physical. She waits outside while he gets dressed, and the second they're out in the hallway, she's got him up against the wall. Well, 5'11" Nicole Kidman's got 5'7" Tom Cruise up against the wall, holding him up by his armpits, just like, I need you.
Well, they fall into a kiss in the physical, and then they immediately break it off. And then she waits for him to get dressed.
I thought he like leaned into it.
Well,
like,
she's leaning up as he's looking down at her. So it's that plausible deniability. Like neither of us started it, but it happened. Or both of us started it.
Neither of us started jerking each other off in the dome. But
hey, it's the rules of the dome, baby. Look at our wall of alumni. So.
B. Arthur.
Just. Welcome to jerk off MIT. So they fall in love. They start kissing and shit. And now she clears him to race. But while he's not cleared to race, Carrie Elways makes a last minute appearance in the movie to do 2 minutes of evil racing.
I love Carrie Elways.
Where he steals Randy Quaid as a sponsor, and Randy Quaid, because Randy Quaid, on some level, it makes sense. He's like, listen, I got to go with the driver that can race. This guy's crushing it. But at the same time, he's a dick about it. And Carrie Elways crashes.
Why do you pronounce it like that?
What?
Elways.
What is it?
Elwes.
It's Elways. So Carrie Elways.
Who was president during World War II?
Carrie Elways.
No.
Gary Oldman.
No.
According to Oppenheimer rules. Unfortunately, not a graduate of Jerk Off Harvard.
I was trying to lure you into a Roosevelt trap again.
I knew where you were going. I'm not an idiot.
Could have fooled me. But I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you with bits.
So Carrie Elways steals the sponsorship, and so now Quaid has like dueling drivers, and Tom Cruise gets cleared before Michael Rooker, and Elwes runs him off the road. So Tom Cruise, in a fit of rage during Carrie Elwes's victory lap, just crashes into him, smashes these two cars together. You're not interested in this at all. The Revenge of Cruise.
No, this is where I'm locked in. When Michael Rooker was not allowed to race anymore, that's where I locked in.
Okay.
I said I locked in like towards the end of this movie. I locked in at this point because I think Michael Rooker's a better actor. And I thought his like sad downward of like, you're not cleared to race, like his expressions, like I felt for the man. I was like, oh God, he can't do the thing that he loves.
What did you think about when Tom Cruise and Michael Rooker were in the hospital racing wheelchairs together?
I thought that was goofy. I thought that was fun.
It's another little awesome touch in this movie that doesn't have to be there, but adds, like, it's bonding for the characters. They have to go to dinner together to solve their shit. And they end up wrecking rental cars.
When Nicole Kidman is showing them the X-rays and gets the, it's like, I can't, in good conscience clear either of you. First of all, no doctor is going to clear you like that. Like any doctor, just I think part of HIPAA, no doctor would clear you and say, go back to doing the dangerous thing that got you hurt in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think, even like football players, like, I think a doctor can say, like, I 100% go run into men again.
No, but they can give you clearance, like, there is no risk of life.
Yeah.
Like exacerbate. It's actually a whole thing in sports medicine of like you get the doctor that's gonna clear you for the football team.
Yeah, but like some of the like NASCAR people were like, okay, we want a second opinion, and it's like no doctor's gonna be like, yeah, get back in the race car. Like,
True.
But like that room, that felt weirdly like out of Independence Day.
It was weird. Like
It had like big American flags on banners, and then like it looked like it had like a big round table in the middle, like from Oppenheimer.
I think it's supposed to be the head of NASCAR, like a meeting room. Because that guy who says work your shit out or get the fuck out of racing is like the guy.
Okay.
I think he's an executive in NASCAR.
Because there's like tons of TV screens and like a wooden cabinet, and it looks like it was like a secret compartment in the cabinet that
Like,
had tons of screens.
If you took a screenshot from that movie, you'd think it was from like a FBI procedural, like they're trying to find a killer or something. If you took a screenshot from that scene.
Yeah, because it's like you got like the guys in the wheelchair, you've got like it's just like guys in wheelchair, doctor, bunch of guys in suits.
Yeah. Michael Rooker can't race no more. Tom Cruise can, but Randy Quaid tells him to get the fuck out because he crashes into Carrie Elways, who has betrayed him on purpose. So then Michael Rooker says, take my car. And they are now bonded. And we are now back where we started, where Tom Cruise drives Michael Rooker's car, but now he has an approval, so it's not cucking. It's a beautiful threesome.
You can go ahead and drive my car. I'm going to jerk-off school. Turns out being a racer's not for me.
I'm gonna become one of them jerk-off doctors.
You can call me Dr. Jerk-Off.
I'm gonna fall in love with a beautiful race car driver of my own. So
You got a beautiful thing with the doctor.
and it leads to a big final race where Tom Cruise almost doesn't do it, but then he does do it. And he's like, I got a new engine. Where'd I get this new engine? And you see Randy Quaid for half a second. At the very final, like last two laps.
Dark Knight Rises, Randy Quaid.
The last two laps, Tom Cruise has to get out of the last second. So Randy Quaid sends his pit crew to help Cruise, and they all shove that car off. And they're like, why are we helping them? And he's like, that's my engine in that car. And you're like, oh, Randy Quaid has decided to help save the day at the end a little bit.
For some reason, could have.
Because he loves the thrill of the game. That's his original boy. Carrie Elways is kind of a dickhead.
I do think it's funny that every time that Tom Cruise wins a race, it's because he was vaguely lied to. Because there's also like when he wins his first race, he's like, those are some crazy special tires you put on there. He's like, boy, I lied. Robert Duvall is just like, I needed you to calm the fuck down.
He's a simple driver who knows only to go.
More like a simple ton
of talent.
That remains to be seen. We're gonna have to watch more Tom Cruise movies to figure this one out.
I love Tom Cruise, and I love him in this race. And so this last part though, you're feeling it in this race when he's like, I gotta go get out of the pace car, like the engines are revving, we're getting all those cars building up, coming around the corners and everything.
This movie was what, like an hour 45?
Yeah, very standard movie length.
Yeah, but again, like 25 to like half an hour of a movie where I'm locked in, that's not.
I'm just wondering if this last race was doing anything
like
for you.
I was locked in towards the end here, but
you were saying you didn't care about Tom Cruise succeeding at all. What about in this race where he's got to beat?
But it's crazy because like if I had known it was Carrie Elwes, I might have been like, nah, I want him to lose to Carrie Elwes, but I didn't recognize Carrie Elwes. But no, the movie did win me over in the end. I don't give this movie like a fucking 0. It's like, oh, this movie's awful. It just doesn't click for me. I am not the target audience. It doesn't work for me.
Interesting, because I'm not a racing fan either. But you rev some engines, throw some suckers in a circle, and Tom Cruise is like, I've got to do it.
Here's why I don't think that it's racing as a thinking about it. Well, I don't think it's racing as like I don't like this movie. Because there are racing movies that I like. I mentioned Ferrari. I liked Ferrari. I liked Gran Turismo. But both of those movies, I think I gave like a 6 out of 10. This I give like a 4 out of 10.
That's insane. Because Ferrari, I would say, is not about racing. Ferrari's a biopic about that guy.
No. It's the Moneyball of racing.
Yeah. Gran Turismo.
The kid who played the video game and got to race for real.
I wouldn't say it's about racing either.
Okay, then maybe it is.
They just show snapshots of all his
Okay,
races.
how about this? I liked Cars. I liked Pixar's Cars 3.
That's a big spike.
I liked Pixar's Cars 3.
Does that have racing?
Yes. It's about racing. It's about NASCAR. It's an animated movie about...
No, I know it's an animated movie about cars racing, but I thought it was about him like finding himself or some shit.
The first one is about not being an arrogant dickhead and winning isn't everything.
Okay.
You know, sometimes you got to slow down and enjoy life. It's not about your career.
Okay, it doesn't sound like it's about racing. Winning isn't everything. We give one trophy.
But he wins the race.
Okay.
He is a stock car.
Uh-huh.
He's not a stock car driver. He's a stock car.
Yeah.
The second one isn't about any of that shit. The second one is so fucking wild and stupid, and I love it. And the third one is about I'm old and I need to train the new race car because they're making better race cars. I can't keep up anymore. So it's about training the next generation. It's the creed of Pixar movies. He's got to train. Rocky's got to train the next generation of boxer.
I love Tom Cruise.
I love talking about movies with you because you always look at me like I'm stupid, but I know somebody out there's got me.
Yeah, and he's 6 years old. He's like, I also love cars.
I'm gonna put that 6-year-old in the fucking dirt.
Well, you lose your only friend. So you're not a fan of Tom Cruise or Days of Thunder. I think Days of Thunder rips. I think Independence Day's mid, but if you put it with the right audience, I'd probably enjoy it.
Here's the thing. I am now 1-1 on Tom Cruise movies because I like Rain Man and I don't like Days of Thunder.
So I've at least got some wiggle room to break even or
Yes. I say you're fighting from underneath because, I mean, like, I think he's okay, like, in things like Tropic Thunder. He's in that.
yeah.
And
That's
I like,
not a Tom Cruise movie. Okay, I get you.
Yeah. I think it's just dependent, and this one didn't do it for me.
But Independence Day did.
And I could watch Independence Day over and over again.
Over and over again?
It's again though, it comes from that place. Like same with like Chicken Run. I was a child when I first saw that.
So as a child, they said Independence Day is good. Tom Cruise is the devil, and you're like, okay, and you've just carried that with you forever.
I guess.
Which would you rather watch more, Independence Day or Cars 2?
Probably.
Cut the feed.